It's like we're back in the studio. Los Angeles, 1997.
That's a good analogy.
Greg Gurwitz behind the controls. This is Brad.
I don't need to tell the truth, but I never lie. I don't need to bow to you. You're just passing by. I never wanted to be the one you bitch and moan and come home to. But as long as you look good, I'll come back to you. Get inside my troubled mind with all of your threats. Sometimes I think I was blind. Not before we met. I never wanted to be the one that you depend on for your life. When you cry, it smells like soup. Sound like Shonen Knife. Never feel how I said all night. I gotta ride. Each time I said all night. No, I just might. You make me sad all night. It's just that side of you tonight that makes me sad all night. I'm gonna stand all night. You're an evil little girl. I'm a twisted man, tearing through your perfect world. Make you understand. I never wanted to be the one you bitch and moan and come home to. But as long as you look good, I'll come back to you. And do the things we do, stay all night. I gotta ride. Each time I stayed all night. No, I just might. You make me stay all night. It's just that side of you tonight that makes me stay all night. I'm gonna stay all. I would never treat you bad. You deserve the best from me. If you want to keep your place, you better get down on yours.
Yeah, Todd wrote this one.
Yeah.
This is not mine.
Stand all night, I gotta ride. Each time I stand all night, no, I just might. You make me stand all night. It's just that side of you tonight that makes me stand all night. I'm gonna stand all night.
R.I.P. Todd.
Text the round robin your questions, comments, wagers. Give us a reason. Sleeper fantasy play, your best alternative line, whatever you have. Text the round robin 757 354 5517.
Can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight for the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, take us as star-spangled banner yet wave, for the land of the brave and the home of the brave.
This is the Deep End Broadcasting Network.
You are tuned in to the Round Robin with Stephen Murray on Deep End Broadcasting.
around and flashing through the lights. I wanna see the college outside.
Good Saturday morning on this January the 3rd, 2026. We've crossed over the new year and days now into January, which means the final week of the NFL season, the wild card, the playoffs, all the way through till February, where we will crown a NFL champion in the Super Bowl. I am Stephen Murray. This is the Round Robin Saturday special on this final weekend of the regular season. All right, I hope everyone had a great holiday. Basically, if you've whenever you have Christmas and New Year's right there in the middle of the week, that stretches it out. So technically, everyone still is on some sort of a holiday. Probably a real big slap to reality come Monday when everyone has to really go back to work in earnest. And hopefully, whatever you're doing, you are recovering and relaxing. I know it's a nice, blustery, cold weekend here on the East Coast, and we have a full slate of games tomorrow, a couple games today, and week 18 is it's a tricky one. We know that from the get-go. Week 1's always tricky. Week 18 is always tricky in their own right. There should be some things to offer here as maybe some of these teams treat it somewhat like a preseason. We will have no shortage of angles, ways to make money this weekend, and ways to invest. I know everyone's been probably looking at the odds, pretty much stable for the most part here in the last 24 hours, maybe a hair of movement, but do not be shocked if you see these lines jump through the roof one way or the other. Technically, if you get a big line movement, you probably want to jump to that line movement come these games as they kick off this weekend. All right, so a lot to go over. What we'll do this morning is just focus on the two games. I, myself, am here in studio. I think we'll get Nephew Dave on the phone. I got to check in with him. We'll try to get the Ant-Man in here as well, as we will not have the Ant-Man tomorrow. He will be out on assignment. So we'll get him today, or we won't see him until the playoffs, one or the other. And then we'll get Dave Dograndi in here with all his picks from Castro Valley, California, out on the West Coast. Our OG of fantasy football, the guru, the man who's been doing props and fantasy since the 80s, will join us on the air here shortly. And we'll go through the two games today, and then we'll cut the tape, and we'll go and hit the rest of the slate for tomorrow's program, which will be live at 7 a.m. Eastern kickoff. I know last week we started at 8 for the holiday weekend, and really because we had 5 games in the books at that point, and we still got off the air relatively early. But we will go at 7 a.m. full throttle, and I expect to be off tomorrow by about 11 a.m., to be honest. We'll only have about an hour or so with Dograndi. The fact is, a lot of these props will stay off the board. These books are, they don't know what they're dealing with, so they're hard-pressed to put a line out there for us to try to take advantage of. And we'll have to assimilate and treat those one by one, really, as they come on or pop off the board. In some cases, last season, there are things that we like that never showed up on the wagering board at all. So a good way to approach things this week for sure is with teams and points and not with players. Obviously Barkley's not playing. Someone like Khalil Shakir, who needs his one touchdown. How long is he going to have Josh Allen in the game for to try to throw him one? So a lot to kind of navigate through. Think of it as a minefield in a sort of a way, and we'll do our best to kind of go through it, negotiate the obstacles, and come up with some winning tickets. Again, our goal is to, invest the minimum. Let's put 10, 20 bucks down and see if we can't turn that into a few $1,000. I'll rotate some tickets up on the screen once I get Dave Del Grande in here. I'll have a few plays for today. We can go up and put up on the board already. We'll do Del Grande for about 30 minutes, and then I'll come back here myself, and we'll maybe even build a ticket or two, and we'll discuss the two games that we have on board this afternoon. So we have at least two good ones with Tampa Bay and Carolina and San Francisco and Seattle, both in essence deciding the division, although Tampa Bay can still lose the division if they win, and that is if the Falcons do beat the Saints at home tomorrow, and what will be an interesting matchup to say the least. I completely like one side of that game. Del Grande loves the other side. So that's what we're dealing with this weekend. A lot of unknown and who's properly motivated to win these games. I mean, at some point, if a team finds themselves down bad, they are bound to give up this weekend. Okay, college football playoffs. They've been fun, right? At least interesting, even though the games might have been separated by multiple scores in some cases. It's been kind of cool to see. They filled the gap well as far as entertainment goes midweek. And I think you have a good Final Four. I mean, you got some of the old blood just out of there like Georgia and Alabama. And then you got a couple of newbies in here like Ole Miss, Miami. Oregon's been on this stage for many years, being one of the top schools. How about give Oregon credit for just their longevity of being such a good school. And then the real new kid on the block being Indiana and our boy Cignetti. If you listen to this program in the past, we've talked plenty about him. If you don't know about Cignetti, he is the quarterback guru. His dad was the quarterback guru. And Phillip Rivers, whose name has been in the media a lot lately, won 5 bowl games, including the Senior Bowl in college. And he was the MVP of all 5 of those bowl games that Phillip Rivers played in. Who was the Phillip Rivers quarterback coach, you ask, for NC State? Well, that would be Curt Cignetti, the head coach for Indiana. So Indiana, he's been doing this for a long time. And this kid Mendoza, probably worthy of one of the top draft picks at this point. As some of these other quarterbacks' stock have gone up as well here in the playoffs. You think, you weren't impressed by the quarterbacks here in recent weeks, and now it looks like you have at least 3 good ones you can kind of go with here, and maybe have even a decent to above average or better NFL career. So things to look out for with the Final Four. I have a ticket on Indiana to win it all, with the Patriots to win the AFC West. So we'll kind of root that one home. I'm sorry, the Patriots to win the AFC Conference. So we'll try to root that one home. And we'll dib and dabble in a few futures probably as we get ready to start the NFL playoffs after the weekend. So this is our wheelhouse. Traditionally, the last week of the season, it really is a hard one. It's tough to come out super profitable here. But I think I'm not going to knock on wood, but I mean, I like what the direction I'm going in with a lot of stuff I jotted down. Playoffs is definitely in our wheelhouse, and we've won every playoff year just about. I can't remember the last time that we haven't. But I will say this too, and I mentioned the Super Bowl, and we'll crown a champion. Whoever wins this Super Bowl will not be one of the top 50 NFL teams of all time. Far from it. All right, so that's how wide open we are here as we head into the playoffs and this final week of the season. All right. Any other tidbits we want to go through? Let's look at the weather for today and get some updated lines, and we'll at least cover that angle as The premise for the show is this, getting up early on a Sunday morning. Here we are on a Saturday morning, up not so early and starting. But one of the first things we always want to do when we look at the wagering slate is take a look at the weather and see what we're dealing with for the day. And that kind of gets us on course for where we want to potentially go, projecting our picks. The first game on the board, 4:30 p.m. at Raymond James Stadium. Tampa Bay is at -3, 43.5. No line movement there. And we have a beautiful 73-degree day, 68% humidity, just a very slight chance of rain at Raymond James. So a beautiful day to tailgate out there. I'd venture to say that it's about ready to start. I'm sure there's some people out and about outside the stadium lingering around, firing up the grill already, and enjoying the beautiful Florida weather for this game with Tampa Bay and Carolina. And then the night game tonight, Seattle -2.5 at the 49ers. That is the system play. We have 58 degrees at Levi Stadium for this game this evening. So beautiful weather there. Let's see. Let's clarify that this is the system play that I've been bragging about all week, kind of, which is, the system play is hit the skids here. Actually, not a system play. Seattle 13-3, 49ers 12-4. So one better win for the Seahawks, not an official system play. So we'll go ahead and throw that out the window. The system play is when the road team is the favorite with the same record or worse than the home team. So the home team, who should be the one laying the points, has a better record, yet they're the underdog catching points. I was thinking we had the same record here, but Seattle 13-3 on the season. What a great season for the Seahawks. Every bit of a contender. So weather is no issue, really. Percentage of rain, a little bit higher in San Fran, 35%. We'll get Dave Delgrandy's take on that a little bit more as well. But the conditions set up for points in which really all of these teams can contribute that to the scoreboard. So that's one angle we'll take a look at as we go through the program this morning. So we talked about Dave Delgrandy. Let's go ahead and pipe him in. He is our man from Castro Valley, California. He is the Golden State Warriors main man with Field Level Media. He writes for Deadspin. Mr. Fantasy himself, again, ESPN's first ever employee. And we're fortunate to have him on this program for all 4 years we've done it. Just about every week, except for, I think, one where he was sick. He's been with us and through the playoffs. So without further ado, let's go ahead, spend a few minutes. We'll break down these two games with Dave. I'll be back with either the Ant-Man or Nephew Dave or both, and then we'll go ahead and see what we can't figure out for this afternoon. So, good morning, Dave.
Good morning. Doing great.
All right. Well, we know week one's tricky, and then the other thing we know is the final week of the season's tricky as well. So I guess if we're swimming around the deep end of the pool still, we might as well head back to the shallow end, maybe put on our pool floaties. If we get a peanut butter sandwich, stay out of the water for 15 minutes and be cautious as possible. My plan, I guess, is I'm just going to try to stick to what I think I know. And obviously, props with anyone in question is out of the question. But let's just try to make some dough one last time. And again, I'll stick to kind of what I know. And if it appears to be the chalky day that it will be, where, you're really hard pressed to try to find some upsets on my end, then maybe just everyone's going to have a good day. I don't know. Maybe there's some tricks to the trade here, but your general thoughts going into the final week.
Yeah, it is a tricky week. But I do think that it reminds me of the preseason. And
Yes. Yep.
if you know, or you think you know, who's going to try, who's not going to try, it gives you a huge advantage over most any other week in the season where, presumably everybody's trying. And so I just remember last year in the last game of the regular season when Kansas City had clinched everything and they played Denver.
Right.
And they just completely sat down. I mean, they didn't even try. I don't know what the score was. It was like 31-3 or 38-3.
38 to zip. How about that?
Yeah, 38-0. There you go. And it was just one of those things where, wow, if I had, known going in that Kansas City wasn't going to play anybody, then, I mean, you imagine, what was out there to be had, focusing on Broncos guys. Now, there are some teams this week who say they're not playing guys. I don't know if they're going to go full bore, practice squad lineups, kind of like Kansas City did last year. But if they do, then to me, there's your big advantage. It's hard to predict, based on what some of these coaches are saying. But then again, maybe it isn't. Maybe there are a couple of teams. All it takes is one to give you an advantage that you wouldn't normally have. So that's what I'm looking for.
All right. I think we're basically along the same path. And that there have been instances too where, there's teams that have sat their starters. They bring in the backup or the third stringer. And then, you're like, okay, I'll go ahead and trust this, Arizona Cardinals type of team here to maybe try to rise up one last time. And what ends up happening is that bad team gets slaughtered still. So I think I have one good instance of that with a correlation of a rare event in which this stat is just about undefeated. And I'll mention that when we get to it. Maybe you can kind of think about that as we go. But we get 2 games Saturday. What we'll do, I guess we'll talk about that, and then we'll cut the tape and we'll do the Sunday games as well. Let me ask you some college stuff real quick. We got the 4 games done with that, where obviously there were a couple mismatches, but generally I liked watching that format of the New Year's Eve and then the 3 New Year's Day games. And my boy Signetti, Indiana looks good, and I think they actually have 4 decent teams in the Final Four. Do you have any thoughts on the college? I know you're not the biggest college fan.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, the schedule fell perfectly in the sense that you got New Year's Eve and New Year's Day to fall in the middle of the week away from the NFL.
Right.
I mean, obviously you can't do that same schedule if New Year's Eve's a Saturday and New Year's Day's a Sunday. You're not going to go up against the NFL. But this worked out perfectly, and I agree the 4 games were all watchable. They weren't necessarily close, a couple of them. I think it speaks to the parity of college football. I mean, all this talk about who should have been in, who shouldn't have been in. I felt all along that Texas belonged in there, and nobody talks about them as a team that should have gotten in. Everybody's talking about Notre Dame, of course, BYU, who I don't think they're even a top 30 team. But that's all part of the discussion. I'm sure next year or a couple of years from now, we'll go up to 16 teams, and kind of become what college basketball has become. But yeah, those were fun games, competitive. Even that last one where I thought, I don't like when 2 teams from the same conference play each other, especially this early. So if they both make the finals, there's nothing you can do about it. But I think they should be separated in the draw best that you can. It's just not. I mean, if in fact the Southeastern Conference was the power this year, and maybe they were, maybe they weren't. It's like, okay, well, we can prove it by playing your best teams,
Right.
not our own best teams. That didn't tell me anything about the Southeastern Conference. The fact that Mississippi would play in Georgia, I'd much rather have seen one of them playing Miami and one of them playing Oregon or Texas Tech or whatever. I just like the intersectional matchups better. I agree with you that I found it very enjoyable. I'm not the biggest college football fan, as you said, but good football is good football.
The other thing I noticed, and it seems like in recent years, and you've talked about it as well in the college game and how it's become wide open, and there's a million good wide receivers out there, and almost to the point where if you have a Brandon Ayuk problem, you go ahead and just draft another one and plug them right in. But I don't recall seeing this many good defenses in a while in college football. So that's kind of cool to see, to be honest, I thought.
Well, that just tells you everything you need to know about the NFL draft. There's so many good players in college football, especially at this level. Guys who aren't even playing for Alabama, for Oregon, for these schools that bring in 5 or 6 5-star players and 5 or 6 4-star players and dozens of 3-star players every year. They have, there's kind of the joke around here is that Cal has hired Oregon's defensive coordinator, right, as their next coach.
Right. Okay.
And if he brings his entire third string, guys who didn't, never saw the light of day,
right,
in that game against Texas Tech. But if he can just bring the third stringers down to Berkeley next year, of the 11, probably 8 of them would start.
Right.
And the other 3 will probably are going to the NFL eventually. So something that I was, intrigued by, because I'm a Raiders fan, is this idea that the Raiders, should they or should they not draft a quarterback with the first pick? Well, the top 2 quarterbacks that presumably that are going to be available, the Mendoza from Indiana and Moore from Oregon were both on display. Both did very well. I went into the day thinking, no, they will. If they've got the first pick, they cannot take a quarterback from this year's crop. I mean, they have too many holes to fill. They need to trade down, fill a couple of holes, worry about the quarterback next year. Maybe you're looking to Manning next year. And then all of a sudden, man, who's the best quarterback of the day is possibly the Mississippi guy.
Right.
And now all of a sudden you're thinking, man, could the Raiders draft him with the number 1 pick? He was fascinating. And all of a sudden, because all 3 of them did well, I find myself thinking, oh boy, should they, I'm revisiting, should they draft a quarterback? All 3 of these guys look good, certainly better than what they got.
Yeah, stock up big time. Yep.
Yeah, it adds to it really did add to the intrigue of having the number 1 pick.
Yeah, that would be fascinating to see how that plays out down the road. I agree. Stock up on all those guys. All right, let's get to the list. We're fortunate enough to where the Saturday games are real games. And Atlanta really trying to play spoiler with that win against the Rams, really making it a little bit harder now for the Buccaneers to win this division, because now Atlanta's got to lose, I believe, to the Saints, and Tampa now has the win instead of a simple head-to-head matchup here with Carolina and Tampa Bay. And I think I figured it out with Tampa Bay. You probably have too. But Baker just has to be hurt beyond what we think. I know his shoulder's bad and his knee's bad, but I think that's just translating onto the field for the most part. So in this game where the Buccaneers are favored by 43.5, again, you have all these weapons for Tampa Bay, and it's just been nothing. Just a bad loss at Miami again last week. And maybe that's given the Dolphins a little bit of credit, because even when you think they're going to pack it in for the season, they kind of come out and show you a decent performance the next week. Carolina, had somewhat of a letdown against Seattle. I think we see where that class of the NFC is separated amongst the wannabes and the actual contenders at the top there. Carolina may be nice enough to be a playoff team, but you're going to get bounced in the first round. That's basically the short of that story in my mind. Whoever they play, if they win this game, and Atlanta spoils the day for Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay, I think I give a much better chance and a much more wide open NFC if they can just somehow get their act together here. I'll figure that they get their act together one last time here. I mean, I can't give up on them now after all these weeks. I mean, they've already punished me enough. I'm not going to get overly invested tying them up to some of my other plays because at the end of the day, I think the last few weeks I've been spot on about all of these teams and the totals except Tampa Bay. And maybe, just the circumstance of one or two things otherwise. But Tampa Bay has been the one consistent pain in the butt for me. And I'll go back to the well on them here. They'll win this game. They'll win it by 7 or so. Baker will fight his way through here. And I guess sign me up for a Mike Evans touchdown because I'll trust that he'll score against the Panthers again like he always does. So 1:30 your time is the kickoff, 4:30 my time on Saturday. What do you think?
I agree with you. I'm afraid to say it because I've been wrong on this team for a couple of weeks now. But it's remarkable the amount of weapons Tampa Bay has. And you're right. I mean, what's going wrong with Mayfield? There's no excuse for this team not scoring 30 points every game. Carolina is not a good road team. They're much better at home. I think they could possibly get blown out of this game if Tampa were running on all cylinders. And unfortunately, I'd like to see it because they have the personnel to do it. Everybody's healthy except for potentially the quarterback, but maybe that's all it takes to turn the engine off. So I'm like you. I'm gonna call me stubborn, but I'm sticking with Tampa.
Yeah, right.
I think this is going to be should be a very high scoring game.
Right.
I think both quarterbacks should be over the 1.5 touchdown passes in this game. You want to have a little fun with this game. Go with a McMillan to McMillan parlay on a touchdown apiece. McMillan of Tampa, who's come back, played a couple of weeks now, was probably their top receiver last week. I don't necessarily think he's their best receiver, but he's come on strong where Igbuka has completely disappeared and Godwin's not giving him a whole lot. I just think there's going to be a lot of passing in this game, and McMillan is the top receiver on Carolina. So that's an easy part of the equation,
Right.
But maybe where you get the bump up in the parlay is that you throw McMillan in there from Tampa. So I say give me the overs on the quarterback TDs and give me a McMillan to McMillan touchdown parlay.
It makes sense. The McMillan. Why would you not do that? Plus 879. So the price is right there. I believe anyway. That would be a fun way to do it. Put $50 on the 2 McMillans to score. That'll get you home almost $500 anyway. $450 anyway. So all right, good angle. I like it. And you're right. We liked the over the last time and it didn't get there. This could be the revenge of the over under. And I'll say this too about the final week. There are enough teams too where there's enough tiebreakers out there, I believe, where in some circumstance quality of wins do come into place in the seedings. And I think we have that scenario the last time the most. And I tried to look it up in the archives here, and I ran out of time because the 2 or 3 or 4 references were just going back 25 years or so. But I want to say it was like 1988 or 1989. Now, I know Favre was involved with this. I want to say Breeze was involved with this as well. Perhaps. Maybe Breeze was too young and still on. Yeah, he would have still been in college then. Right. So Favre was a part of this and others. But they were trying to score in the second half and going crazy, throwing the ball deep left and right. Maybe a scenario or two where we get that this week with some overs. But do you recall that at all in the late 90s a week? Yeah, okay.
I do not.
Okay. And it was every game at the 1 o'clock. It was like 4 or 5 games where everyone was just trying to outscore each other at will. So that was kind of fun. Let's see if maybe we get some of that as we go along here. Next game, we're going to get your insight on this one because you're there. And you've been the 49er. I'm not going to say hater, but you've been the, you're not giving them a complete free pass this season. And here they are. They can win number 1 seed, the whole NFC, if they win this game against Seattle. Now, Seattle is the favorite on the road here. And that is always saying that is the system play on our end when you got the team with the records on the road, and the one who's the favorite is same record or worse than the home team. So Seattle fits the mold as the system play here, but I don't know. I like Shanahan in this circumstance. I think there's enough veteran leadership here on the 49ers part. And in the standalone game, and when we saw Darnold exercise those demons against the Rams on a Thursday night, so that would give you trust there. This isn't a road game. And I think the way you beat the Seahawks in this scenario is to try to outscore them for sure. We know that the San Fran defense will probably give up some points to Seattle. So it's going to be up to this Niner offense again that's been red hot to kind of continue that trend. So I like the over 47.5. I think that's a very low number for this game. I know there's been some sketchy weather out there, so fill me in on that a little bit more pertaining to this game. I think we see points for sure, but I'm not fully convinced the Seahawks are going to be able to win this game on the road. Darnold's going to have to answer the bell one more time to me, and I've been the Purdy critic a little bit. He's looking as good as any quarterback out there right now. I mean, he really does. So I'll trust the 49ers with enough talent at home here to pull out this victory. It's going to be a close game, but the best play to me is the over. And again, I'll go back to the well with Kittles. Kittles will look to have a big game here. I will put him on the 2-touchdown scorer list because if the Niners are going to win, it's going to be because they're going to be dynamic through the air. And, Kittles is going to be a big part of that. And when they get down towards the end zone, well, he's going to be option 1 or 2 that Purdy's going to look for in this big game. So give me the Niners in a higher scoring game tomorrow night. What do you think?
Well, first off, you mentioned the weather, and the weather is not good. But, the bad weather in San Francisco is the equivalent of average weather at most, eastern sites at this time of year. So I don't think it'll be a big factor in the game, but it will be bad weather, for a San Francisco game, which means it'll probably be raining. It won't be, it'll be 50 degrees or whatever, and not a, downpour, not a big windy thing. So, these teams shouldn't be affected much, I don't think, by the weather, but it just won't be. We kind of saw this in the Rose Bowl. How hard it was raining before the game, and who was going to impact the game, and it didn't impact the game at all. Stopped raining for most of the game. That's probably what we're looking at here. So I wouldn't let that bother me one way or the other. I think Seattle. You're not going to be surprised to hear this.
Right.
I think Seattle's the better team here. I think it's certainly the better defensive team here. And the scary part about the 49ers win over the Bears was they put no pass rush on the Bears quarterback. And we all know Darnold. He can fold with the best of them. You put pressure on him. He can throw the ball anywhere. But I don't see any indication that the 49ers are going to be able to put that kind of pressure on him. So I think, like you said, I see Seattle scoring points in this game. The way the 49ers are playing offense, I think they're going to be scoring points. I think this is going to be a relatively high-scoring game. I don't think it's going to come through the San Francisco running game, so I wouldn't necessarily expect McCaffrey to have a big game. But like you said, Kittle, and they've got a nice, assortment of receivers now that they've developed. I think that they'll move the ball through the air. I mean, one other thing to look at in this game, we saw this in the Chicago game, definitely, and probably alerted, the odds makers to it. But in big games like this, Purdy is starting to run the ball more, and he'll scramble. He'll instead of throwing the ball away, he's kind of turned into Herbert or Josh Allen in some way. He'll take on a linebacker. He'll try to juke him and get that extra 5 yards rather than slide. I think that he can be counted upon, for at least 20 rushing yards in this game. I don't know what total they'll put on him, but I think that there would be, to me, there'd be a green light on a lot of passing type options in this game, and also on Purdy running the ball.
All right, so Purdy's rushing prop. Yeah, good call on that. 15.5.
Yeah, that's good. I
agree.
Like I said, 15.5, for some quarterbacks,
They'll flush them for sure.
You're right. It's almost like 4 runs because they'll run for 3 or 4 yards and they'll slide or go out of bounds. But with him, we saw this we had 2 touchdown runs in the game the other day. When he runs, it's 8-10 yards at a time. So you're talking about 2 of his average runs. 1 per half. I mean, that's I'll take that any day. So count me in on that.
All right, so you mentioned Darnold not getting pressure. All right, I agree with you on that. He's probably going to be able to sit back and do his thing. But isn't there a circumstance where, even though he's dropped back, he sees a gap right in front of him, and he's going to go over 5.5 yards? Because he is a little bit of a runner.
Yeah, I mean, to me, getting to that kind of number is related to how many dropbacks you're going to have in the game. If Seattle has a success running the ball, which I think they'll have better chance of that than the 49ers will. But if they have success running the ball, then Darnold won't throw as many passes, and that opportunity is less likely to come up because he's not going to be a guy like Purdy who's kind of actively looking, to pick up that first down on 3rd and 8 by running it. If he gets those, 6 yards, it's going to be by accident. Yes, can it happen one time over the course of the game? You would think so, but I don't know.
I wouldn't want to bet the under, that's for sure. I'll say it like that. Let me throw 1 or 2 other rushing things at you real quick because I'm looking at them. I got Shaheed plus 120 for 2 yards.
I'll caution you right now. We're 2 games into a 16-game slate. We've already talked about a bunch of options. I wouldn't go there, but yeah, I mean, it does sound intriguing.
Okay, all right. Let's see receiving numbers though. I'll just go over some of the low hangers. Uchek is 6.5. Demarcus Robinson 9.5. Shaheed is at 27.5. Charbonnet is 9.5. Walker the third is 12.5. He's been doing pretty good at that lately. Yeah, Barner 38.5. Cup 32.5. McCaffrey is 46.5, but he always goes over that. Pearsall 43.5. Jennings 41.5. Kittle 61.5, and Jackson Smith 94.5. All right, I just figured I'd mention those. All right, higher scoring game than me as well. All right,
I'd like to hear a number just to make a prediction.
Sure.
But I'm going to say McCaffrey's going to be under his rushing total.
All right, McCaffrey rushing is 67.5.
I say under. I mean, I don't. The 49ers for the most part of the season haven't been a great rushing team. how many times have we heard McCaffrey? He's only got a handful of runs over 5 yards all season until these last couple of weeks. I just think Seattle's as good a defense as they're going to face in a game where they can throw the ball effectively. I don't see him getting to his rushing total. So I'll make a prediction there rather than take a financial.
All right, back to the deep end of the pool. I get 20-1. McCaffrey under 67.5. Rashid Shaheed 2 yards. Darnold 6 yards, and I'll make Purdy all the way up to 25 yards. So there you go. $10 to win 200 there. All right. All right, we'll cut the tape there, and we'll get Dave Dograndi back on tomorrow for the rest of the slate. So I have some tickets rotating up on screen now. The one that I have is with the red background would be one player from each team to score a touchdown. And I'll just kind of give you my basic logic on this. George Kittle is we'll start with the later game first. George Kittle is my 49er. It just seems like a lot of the offense through the passing game is flowing through him. He takes away the wide receiver help as well, almost in a way. So that helps out the wide receivers. And I think that's what's been able to help the 49ers flourish is just the play of Kittle's and the tight ends for the most part. So where's Purdy going to look when he gets to the end zone? Obviously, McCaffrey is one of them. That could be any number of receivers. He'll share the wealth. But the one common factor has been George Kittle's, besides McCaffrey. So Kittle down by the end zone, I think is a good option and a reason to put him on an anytime touchdown scorer ticket today. I went ahead and added Charbonnet instead of Kenneth Walker. And I initially had I had Charbonnet up here from the get-go. He just seems a counterfeit Walker at the goal line. He just does. Walker will get his, but when you get in close, man, it always really seems to be Charbonnet. And where I think the Seahawks will have plenty of opportunities to score, and if they're down right there by the goal line, then Charbonnet is going to be an easy call for them to put in at some point. So Kittle and Charbonnet for the 49er game. And then, again, Mike Evans, you can just look at the highlights, has killed Carolina over his career. So why not one more time there with him? And Rico Dowdle still due for that incentive and that touchdown that he has not gotten yet. So once we get him down by the goal line, then he could be a great factor as well. I initially had Ted McMillan in this role, and I would not doubt that he gets a touchdown as well, as I think Carolina's worthy of a few scores today myself. But Dowdle by the end zone, I think, is the best bet for an anytime touchdown for him. So $12.50 pays $4.24 anytime touchdown. Kittle, Charbonnet, Mike Evans, and Rico Dowdle. Now, let's go ahead and build one other ticket here with you guys. And if we want to focus on something, let's see. How about we look at I guess they all could do it. I want to say let's look at a combo of receiver, running back receive yards, and quarterback rushing yards. Let's try to mix match some of that together here. And we'll look at the first game here with Carolina and Tampa Bay. And receiving wise for the running backs, Dowdle is at 16.5. Bucky Irving is at 15.5. So I think he's the one I want to target. Rashid White is just at 6.5. Man, you seem like he should be able to go over that, right? Himself. Man, that's a low number for Rashid White, 6.5. I think we got Nephew Dave on board here, right? Nephew Dave?
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Doing well.
I'm just going through the art of making a ticket here and trying to do a little bit of a combo of quarterback rushing yards and running back receive yards to build a ticket here. And the guys that come to mind right off the bat in the Tampa Bay game, obviously, are Bucky Irving for receive yards and White. Now, Bucky got plenty of targets last week, just kind of got stopped dead in his tracks. Never really found the open space. So I think 15.5 is cheap, Dave. But really, I looking at Rachaad White, and he's going to get some carries and some opportunities. Just 6.5 receiving yards for Rachaad White. Would you be likely to take one or the other of those, or maybe both? What would you think about that?
Yeah, Steve. I feel like I would. What you said, Bucky's at 10.5.
15.5.
15.5. Okay. I feel like I would be a little bit. What's the word I'm looking for here? I would be more inclined to go with
a
that.
little partial towards him. Yeah.
Than I would Rachaad White.
Right.
I feel like he's going to get the carries, and I think that Irving is going to get more of the chances for the catches. So I think I would go with Bucky in that regard.
Bucky at 25 yards is 2-1. So that's not too bad to try to put on the greedy ticket, right?
Yeah, and you have it. Yeah, you have it better than I do at plus 173.
Now, quarterback rushing yards in this game, we got Bryce Young and we have Baker Mayfield. Young's at 21.5, and Mayfield's at 16.5. And when you have to have it, that's when the quarterback legs kind of come into play. And this is a have-to-have-it game. I wouldn't doubt that both of these quarterbacks run at some point, but I think the more trustworthy one to me would be Mayfield. Your opinions on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I could see both of them really getting going. Not getting going in the sense of, they're going to have 50 yards rushing, but I could see both quarterbacks trying to use their legs to make things happen. But we've seen this before. If you're going to play that angle, I think Baker is probably the better scrambler. So I would be more inclined to go with Baker on his rushing prop.
All right, we get Baker at 25 yards at just about the same 2-1 price. I got him at plus 198. So let's parlay Baker and Bucky Irving, both for 25 yards each. Bucky on the receiving end, Baker on the rushing end, and that pays out plus 669 right now. If we go to the later game, let's look at the receivers for the running backs here. Obviously, we have McCaffrey, but he's all the way up to 47.5. Kenneth Walker, the third, is at 12.5, and Charbonnet is at 9.5. Dave, I think I would take a shot on Walker, the third here, because he seems to get passes at a decent rate out of the backfield, and I think even more so than Charbonnet does. So at 12.5 for Walker, I think that's an easy bump up to 25 and just kind of hope for the best. He got that on the first play against the Rams. He got, 48 yards on a screen pass. So Kenneth Walker for 25 yards is at plus 280. All right, so that's a nice stiff number we can go with there and keep it in line with Bucky and Mayfield. But who do you want? What eggs in the basket or what eggs would you put in whose basket here with Charbonnet, Walker, or even McCaffrey with the higher number?
Well, you definitely have McCaffrey in there, and you're going to have to raise the roof a little bit for that. But we know that. So, I mean, he could definitely get that. If you want to be a little bit more conservative, I mean, we have to go really up to 60 at plus 153 in my book here. I'm looking at these averages, Steve. We got Walker. He's getting about 15 receiving yards a game. Charbonnet really worries me in that regard. He is at about 8 yards receiving a game. So you're going to get a nice number at 25 plus at plus 407. But man, I think if you've got a somewhat limited action here with just these two games, two good games though. So we should be able to drum up some stuff here. But if we're looking to really just kind of get a part of the making a ticket, to really kind of cash here, I think you got to take a look at Walker or climb the ladder with McCaffrey. Again, 60 is probably where I would land. He's at about 55 per game, Steve. So I think you go to the 60 number, where if you want Walker at his average, right at 15 is at plus 111. Those are the two guys that I would focus on. I would leave Charbonnet kind of out of that.
Right. And I think the problem for McCaffrey, if there is a problem, that's stretching it and saying there's a problem. But it's just the Seattle defense as a whole. It's just quality, where we know there's plenty of holes in the 49ers defense to allow yardage and points. So I think for that reason alone, maybe the edge goes back to Walker in that regard. I will say, though, that Kyle Juszczyk is attractive at 10 yards at plus 140, or even 15 yards at plus 240 for himself. Kyle Juszczyk for 25 yards plus 560, if you want to take a risk there. But if we do Bucky for 25, Mayfield for 25, Kenneth Walker for 25, then we're at 29-1. Let's throw a quarterback into here. And the choice is going to be Darnold over 5.5, and Purdy, who runs a lot, is at a meager 14.5, Dave. So I think it's got to be.
Wow.
I think it's got to be Purdy. If you take him to 25 yards, it's at plus 255. And now I think this is a nice, easy, rootable ticket here. You're just asking 25 yards each for Kenneth Walker to receive, Purdy the rush, Bucky Irving to receive, and Baker Mayfield to rush. And $10 will win us $833.80 on an 83-1 ticket. So how does that look?
Yeah, I love it. Oh, I love it.
All right. So that is your art of making the tickets in a nutshell. And I'll go ahead and take a picture of that. That way we're good to go. And we'll go ahead and reset and go back to the top of the chart here with Tampa Bay and Carolina. All right, so Tampa Bay and Carolina, obviously this is for basically the NFC South. Now, Tampa Bay needs a little bit of help. They need the Saints to beat Atlanta, which is unfortunate. You'd like to see this be a, winner gets it type of scenario and just be done with it. The Falcons were so good late that they're going to make a tiebreaker difference with Tampa Bay not being the division winner. Even if they win, there's a chance of that. So the Bucs are laying 43.5. If there's been one team that ruined my parlays the last month, it's been Tampa Bay. It grosses me out. They've been so bad. We even thought that they would turn the corner against some of these bad teams. In fact, we predicted that when earlier in the season, when the schedule got tough for them, that they were just in a bad spot overall. I think it started at that game in Detroit, and they've just never been able to recover since. Getting blown out at Los Angeles with the Rams. That's the game Baker got hurt. He didn't take any time off. He got right back into the saddle. But he probably needed to take some time off because they've only won one game since then. And I think mainly it's probably because Baker is just beat up at the end of the day, maybe. They're going to have to fight through this one with Carolina, who just seems to have their number lately. Dave, I'm not going to jump off the Tampa Bay train. I haven't come all this way to jump off them at the end. I'll ride them into the wreckage if that's the case here. But I think Tampa Bay wins this game against Carolina. I think they get back to their they get back to the status of where they're going to be able to put up a big score offensively. And I just don't know if Carolina can put that many points up themselves. This game was something like 34-20. That one shocked me at the end of the day. I think it is an over game. We liked this over a few weeks back when this game was at Carolina, and it never quite got there. And man, again, Tampa Bay has just been the one stick in the mud for us as of late. I'll give them one shot to get off the hook here to try to get some of our money back. So what are your thoughts on this game?
Boy, Steve, I want to agree with you. You know, I like Tampa over there. I like Baker. But man, they have just shown reason after reason at this point just to not trust them. It is in Tampa. It's a must-win game. You know, so maybe that's the edge for them, where Carolina knows that they kind of need help. So I don't. This is tricky to me, Steve. This is basically for the division, depending what happens tomorrow with the Falcons game. 43.5 is at -112. I think I would just focus on an over here. Kind of like you said, I feel like this can get over. The Panthers can contribute some. Can the Buccaneers just really get out of their own way? I mean, come on here. So 43.5 is where I would go here, Steve. I think we are able to see some points here.
My most likely touchdown scores from each side, Dave, is going to be Dowdle and Evans. I put on a ticket. Dowdle's +130, +165 for Evans. Irving's +160. Tet to McMillan +165. Sean Tucker +260. Jalen Coker +280. Chuba Hubbard +290. Godwin +290. That's a good price for him today, to be honest. Jalen McMillan, who's been getting a lot of good action, +320. Dave Grandy likes parlaying the two McMillans together in this game at a nice price. Egbuka's +380. He's gone a little quiet here. Ever since he had such that hot start, he kind of started to reemerge a little bit, but it's been really the McLaughlin or the McMillan show as far as secondary receivers go for Tampa Bay. Cade Otton, this could be a game for him. Carolina's not good against tight ends, +440 for a touchdown with him. Xavier Leggett +440. Rashad White +470. Tommy Tremble 5-1. Bryce Young, I heard a good argument for him to score today, only because, you know, you have to have it. And we've seen a lot of quarterbacks rushing in here the last few weeks in these games where we've needed it. And shame on me for not picking on that angle a little bit more. And we're usually on top of it. Feel like we kind of have faltered in that part a little bit in the last few weeks. Well, there's been plenty of quarterback scoring. Mayfield is 7-1. For both of those guys to score today is at 43-1 overall. So decent prices there. If you had to pick a touchdown score from either side, Dave, who are you going to take?
Oh, man. So what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to go with the two running backs in Dowdle and Irving.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah.
You know, let's just kind of – I could definitely see those two scoring. And, you know, at some point, I mean, this is the last crack at it, but Dowdle just needs a touchdown to make a couple extra bucks on his paycheck. So is today the day? I mean, it kind of has to be if you want a little bonus here. So give me Dowdle and Irving, Steve.
All right. That basic easy parlay pays 5-1. So not the worst in the world, to be honest. 20 bucks went to 100. I might just do that too, you know. Let's see. Low hanger receivers in this game, besides what we've talked about. Chuba Hubbard 9.5. Mitchell Evans 12.5. Trimble 17.5. Rico is at 16.5. Cade Otton is at 18.5. So I would play that over, I think, Dave.
Yeah, I don't see why not.
On a ticket. Cade Otton, if you wanted to stretch his number out today, I think 40 yards sounds reasonable. He's +430 on that.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Leggett 17.5. Jalen McMillan is just at 30.5. So if you wanted to stretch him up today to like 50 yards, he's at +250. Something like Otton for 40. And if Baker has a lot of yards passing, this bet will happen here. But you'll get 15-1 on Jalen McMillan for 50 yards and Cade Otton for 40 yards. So that's not the worst price in the world for those two. Jalen Coker is at 36.5. Egbuka is at 24.5, Dave. He's cheap today. Look at that.
Yeah, very cheap.
So Ibuka is just a bomb threat. Man, I could see him catching a long one today. He's 3-1 for 50 yards or more. I think you have to put him on a ticket.
Yeah. I mean, let's not get off that train now.
Yeah, and we're counting on everything going right for Tampa Bay. Basically, is this ticket? And we'll go down with the ship if we have to. 34.5 with Godwin, Tet McMillan 60.5, Evans at 54.5. The rushing props, we mentioned the quarterbacks. Rico is at 54.5. Bucky's at 59.5. Chuba is at 28.5. Rashad White is at 13.5. The Rashad White one's interesting at 13.5 because he'll get enough carries to probably try to warrant that, and he does break through contact. His number to get to 25 yards rushing is at plus 255. So if you were to find that on the ticket, I won't complain. Now, you're going to see Tucker come in there and Irvin. It's going to piss you off, but White should get his touches at least.
Yeah, I think he'll at least get some opportunities.
And for 2 touchdowns today in this game, Dowdle plus 950, Bucky 12-1, Tet 13-1, Evans 13-1, Tucker 22-1, Chuba Hubbard 27-1, Godwin 27-1, Coker 30-1, McMillan 33-1, Ibuka 35-1, Leggett 50-1, Rashad White 50-1, Kate Otten 50-1, Trimble 60-1, Bryce Young 75-1 is a real nice payout. Baker Mayfield is at 100-1. One of my tickets rotating on screen is for Baker and for Bryce Young, both to have 2 touchdowns today. That $4 ticket pays $34,000.
Oh,
Yep. I think it's worth $1 anyway, Dave.
absolutely.
2 touchdowns today. Honestly, we know him as the counterfeiter. But man, Sean Tucker at 22-1 odds is very tempting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is there one, if you had to pick one guy on this list, who you're going to take a shot with?
Oh, one guy here for 2 touchdowns. You know what, Steve? We've been talking about him a little bit, and he's been making his presence known some. How about Jalen McMillan at 30-1?
Yeah, I'd see 33-1. So that's a nice ticket right there. If you do something like Dowdle and Jalen McMillan, let's see. $10 wins you $2,300 today.
Yeah, why not?
Because I think Dowdle is the most likely to score for Carolina and maybe score twice. So now you're just looking at a wild card Buccaneer to get in there twice. And McMillan does fit that profile at 33-1. All right, Dave, any best bets for you besides anything we talked about?
Let's see here. Nope, I have the Dowdle Irvin combination. I should do that by myself. It's paired with the next game too. And then I went just a little bit differently here. I probably should have just followed suit on Art of making a ticket. I did everything you said except I took Kyle Juszczyk over 7.5 receiving yards.
Nice. The Tampa Bay team total is at 22.5 points. So you're going to get some good money making that an alternate over today. Let's see. To get to 31 points today for Tampa Bay. Beautiful weather down there in Tampa today as well. But you're getting plus 360 for Tampa Bay to get to 31 points today. So good number.
Nice.
All right.
Oh, Steve, sorry to answer your question. We have a very, very nice NHL slate, and the Capitals are playing the Blackhawks at home.
Oh, all right. That sounds like an easy win for the Caps, to be honest, at home.
Oh, they need it. So
it seems like when they have to have it, they get it, at least.
Yeah.
All right, Seattle is at San Fran tonight. No system play. The Seahawks are 1 game better than the 49ers. Minus 2.5, 47.5. The Niners have been a dead over team. I don't see why it stops here. The Seahawks can put up points, and the 49ers can put up points. I know the Seattle defense is good. but Purdy's been as good as anyone offensively, and they got plenty of weapons to choose from, and they have a very competent coach. So I think you have a chance for a double over scenario in these two games. Bet both the overs on a ticket. And I'm going to take the team points with the 49ers and the Buccaneers as well. The 49ers get a decent price at over 27.5 for their team total. So I'm not going to stretch them up to 30 or 31. I think 27 is very achievable for the 49ers. And now I'll look for the Buccaneers to get to 31 or so and parlay those two together. Passing props in this game, Purdy 245.5, Darnold 241.5. Darnold for 3 touchdowns is at an even 3-1. Purdy for 3 touchdowns is at an even 3-1. Rushing prop wise, I mentioned this earlier. Low hanger first. Rashid Shaheed is at over 1.5 plus 120. Brian Robinson Jr. is at 14.5. I kind of like that over, actually. Darnold is at 5.5. I kind of like that over, actually. But I'm not going to get overly invested on that. Purdy, 14.5. We know we like that over. Charbonnet, 41.5. Walker, 50.5. McCaffrey, 67.5. I think this is more of a passing game for these teams trying to put up some points today. Receiving wise, we talked about some of these guys, but you check 6.5. Demarcus Robinson is at 8.5 for my man Demarcus Robinson. He's been getting at least a couple of targets. I would have to go over that a little bit. You're getting for 30 yards plus 460 for Demarcus Robinson. If he can have like a 50-yard game, he's getting like 12-1. So there's some big numbers out there for some of these low hanger guys. And I think you should definitely play around with them in that regard. Let's see other low hangers today. Rashid Shaheed receiving 29.5. Charbonnet 9.5. Walker to third 12.5. AJ Barner 37.5. Kupp 32.5. Christian McCaffrey 47.5. Pearsall 42.5. Juwan Jennings 40.5. Kittle 61.5. Smith and Jigba is at 96.5. The touchdown scores, I mentioned I have Evans and Dowdle on a ticket. I went ahead and threw George Kittle on there, a plus 155. And I took Charbonnet because he's the counterfeiter by the goal line at plus 120. Jackson Smith is minus 105. McCaffrey minus 160. He seems like he's an automatic for one at least. Walker is plus 165. Barner plus 185. Jennings 2-1. Pearsall plus 250. Kupp 3-1. Purdy 6-1. Maybe even a Bryce Young Purdy 1 touchdown parlay comes to mind. Brian Robinson Jr. plus 750. Demarcus Robinson plus 950. Remember, Demarcus Robinson scored that last game. And Kyle Juszczyk definitely getting used lately. 12-1 for 1 touchdown for him.
Interesting.
2 touchdowns. McCaffrey plus 390. That's the best price you're going to see on McCaffrey. I think that's something you should jump on that in one way or another. Jackson Smith plus 650. Charbonnet plus 850. Kittle's live at 11-1. Kenneth Walker 13-1. Barner 15-1. Jennings 18-1. Pearsall 25-1. Kupp 30-1. Shaheed 30-1. Purdy 80-1. Brian Robinson 100-1. Barner and McCaffrey for 2 is 55-1 odds. That's kind of interesting to me. And then if we do a Kittle and Barner, the 2 tight ends together, is at 146-1. So $10 wins you $1,400 for those 2 guys to score 2 touchdowns. Who would you take for a touchdown on either side, Dave?
So in this one, on that other ticket that I had, the 2 guys that I have for the 4-leg parlay there, same game X is what they call it over here. I have McCaffrey and Charbonnet. I just like it's like you said, he just always seems to score. So it's the Charbonnet game, and obviously, you want McCaffrey in there as well. He's one of the top weapons for them. So you can't leave him off that list. So give me McCaffrey, give me Charbonnet to score some touchdowns today.
And there are profit boosts available, so that can definitely boost these payouts off on these sort of guys. Who's your 2 touchdown pick on this game?
Boy, 2 touchdowns here. Let's go with I'll tell you what, let's go with Kittle at 11-1.
All right. And any other best bets for you?
Best bets in this one, I'm still kind of looking around.
I think there's plenty of low hanger receiver numbers to pop up, though. That's for sure.
Yeah, I love the Robinson angle that you mentioned, and I like Juszczyk. I had him at his baseline 7.5 that I mentioned, but I'm seeing here in a little bit of statistical research, averaging 13 yards a game, 15 plus for him would be at plus 189, and that may find its way into a ticket, knowing the statistical research that we have here available. So he may get bumped up into another ticket. So I'm going to focus on him and your angle of Robinson. I mean, even at 20, he averages just about 20 a game, 19.4. But if you want Robinson for 25 at plus 253, sign me up for that all day long, Steve. So those are going to be my 2 guys there. Other than, the usual suspects that we have up at the top of the board. So I'm gonna try to find some diamonds in the rough here at the bottom of the board.
So if I do DeMarcus Robinson for 30 at plus 460 and Juszczyk for 20 at plus 370, that's 22-1. Let's just get super greedy for a moment. Let's say the Juszczyk has an awesome game, gets 40 yards receiving. Let's say that DeMarcus Robinson has an awesome game and gets 60 yards receiving. $10 wins you $4,400 on those 2 players to combine for 100 yards receiving.
Wow, there's all kinds of angles here. 40 apiece is at 65-1. Could you get interested in that?
Yeah, sure.
Maybe that's the way to go. Just 40 apiece.
I think the best. Play in the board for both of these games are the overs overall. I'll expect Tampa Bay and the 49ers to win in an upset. All right. So what are your picks here?
I do like the over. You're getting a plus number with the Niners at home. So I think you kind of have to ride with that, whether they win or not. I think you just kind of have to take that chance. It looks like most of the bets coming in, I mean, you got 70% on the money line for the 49ers. So that would be enough for me to jump on that and some kind of, parlay, maybe throw in some hockey in there, maybe a couple money line tickets. So give me the over 47.5 and give me the Niners on the money line.
All right. We're going to go ahead and do our 2 touchdown sounder and come up with a parlay, Dave. 1 player from each game for 2 touchdowns. And let's see what kind of crazy payout we can come up with here for a 2-game parlay.
All right.
Johnny.
4 weeks. 20 papers, that's $2 plus tip.
Gee, Johnny, I don't have a dime. Sorry.
Didn't ask for a dime. $2.
I give you 2 traps and a Ric Flair.
It's a jungle out there. You got to look out for number 1, but don't step at number 2.
Utah, give me 2.
And Jimmy 2 times, who got that nickname because he said everything twice, like.
I'm going to go get the papers.
All right, I'll go first. I would take I'll go ahead and throw Barner in as a solid second option for the Seahawks. And the Niners team is not very good against tight ends, just in general, and leaky defensively. Let's take Barner 15-1 for 2, because I feel like that number is actually low. He should be more like a 20 or 25-1 for 2. So this makes me actually think that He's a very viable candidate to score two today at 15-1. And then let me go ahead and throw your guy in, Bucky, Dave. Bucky Irving. If Bayfield's banged up, let's let Bucky take a little bit more of a load for him. And at 12-1, if we parlay those two together, $10 pays out $2,070. What do you got?
All right, Steve, I've got a long shot for you here, but it's a fun ticket. We're going to go like we talked about in the first game with Rico Dowdle and Jalen McMillan. And then in the late game, we're going to go with George Kittle and Zach Charbonnet. That sounds at 90-1. That sounds like a play by itself. But if you're going with these four guys together, Steve, I mean, you can imagine that you don't have to put much on this. If you just wanted to throw a $5 bill on it, if somehow these four guys all scored, which would be a bit miraculous, I understand, but, we're just trying to have some fun with it. Again, doesn't take much. $5 would pay $73,000.
Wow. Yep. I got $5 to win $122,000. So that's Kittle and Charbonnet, correct?
Yep.
And Rico
Kittle and Charbonnet, yep.
Rico Dowdle and McMillan. I wonder if we take McMillan off of that. Let's take Dowdle for 2. Charbonnet and Kittle, and $5 wins you $5,500.
I mean, that's really not the worst thing ever.
Not really.
And that makes it a little bit more achievable.
Yeah, yep. So I think I'll try that, actually. That seems like a decent little plan right there.
Yeah, I don't mind that at all.
All right, Dave, any thoughts going into tomorrow with the games tomorrow?
Obviously
we'll go through the whole slate tomorrow, but
yeah.
You got any strategy in mind or preliminary thoughts?
Well, I'm gonna look. I've been trying to do some research of guys that want to get a little extra. Everything's pretty much locked up, except for the Steelers-Ravens game. I guess they are playing for the division in the 49ers Seahawks, but they're both in. So in the past, there's only really a couple meaningful games. So I would look at the angles of guys trying to get paid, because why not force feed these guys in basically a lot of games that are exhibition at this point. So that's going to be an angle that I study up this evening as I'm pulling some food off of the smoker on a nice little Saturday here. So we'll see what happens, Steve. But as of right now, the angle, I think, is let's look at some guys to get paid.
All right. Good stuff. We'll come on tomorrow at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That'll be our final regular season game, and that will be the last time I think we come on at 7. After that, we'll be able to start a little bit later in the morning. As long as we have Saturday football, we'll do Saturday shows, and we'll do the Sunday shows as well. And we will ride it out through the playoffs, Nephew Dave.
Yes, sir.
All right, you got your NFL games today. You got a full slate of NHL, throwing a little college hoops, and hopefully wherever you're at, you'll have a nice, profitable afternoon. All right, good luck, everybody.